Welcome to Fantasy Football Breakdown 2.0, where I've been drinking longer and I've done less research than ever before. Welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Wayne Cavati, and I went a perfect 8 for 8 in starts and sits with only listening to vodka last week, while Fee and Dutton struggled a little bit more than I doing research. This fantasy football season is brought to you by shit, so I'm going to continue doing nothing. Joining me, as always, are the great co-hosts of Fantasy Football, Dutton and Fee. Dutton, happy Thanksgiving. How you doing?
Happy Thanksgiving. I'm doing great. Can we talk really quick about the fact that I've lost to the same fantasy team in our league by a combined 1.1 points this year in 2 games? 1.1 point in 2 games.
That's
separated.
the worst. That's the worst.
It's the worst.
Yeah, it's the worst, especially if those points come back playoff time too.
They're totally. I would be running away with our division if I had those 2 wins under my belt. Anyway.
Fee, how you doing over there?
I'm doing pretty good. I got my flu shot today. Everything's gravy. I won my fantasy matchup this week, so I'm happy.
Gravy, he said.
Gravy.
Did you catch?
I did. I liked it.
Happy Thanksgiving, by the way, boys.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving to all you gobbles out there.
Gobble.
We got a lot of work to do. We're coming at you a day early because we have 3 games on Thursday for the traditional Turkey Day game lineup. We're going to have an extra special Fanduel Fee slate, Turkey Day slate.
A full plate, if you would.
A full plate of Fanduel Fee. Do you guys, how do you eat your cranberry sauce? Very important question. Do you buy the can of jelly, the cranberry? And if so, do you make sure that the ridges of the can remain in the cranberry sauce? Because if those ridges aren't there, I don't feel like it counts.
So 100%, I make fresh cranberry sauce, but also have to use the can. And 100%, not only do the ridges have to be there, but then you use them to cut the perfect
You have to
slice.
cut with the ridges.
Right, the perfect slice. Yes.
It's the best. That's the best part about Thanksgiving is getting the cranberry can to go and it comes out perfectly so you have the ridges.
We did really good with that sound effect, by the way.
Right? That's the sound it makes. It's like almost a full fart, but it's a lot of suction too. So it's a weird noise. So let's just jump in that we got a lot of football to talk about. Let's talk about the injury report. Everyone's injured. Let's move on to our locks of the week.
Everyone's injured.
I mean, everyone's injured at this point. Remember that knock joke I told you 2 weeks ago? Dutton, in case our listeners forgot, knock.
Who's there?
The Cowboys and the Bills.
The Cowboys and the Bills, who?
That's it. That's the joke. There's still a freaking joke. The Cowboys and the Bills didn't show up again. The Bills, the Buffalo Bills,
Exactly.
I said it to you. I texted to you. They're the Houston Rockets of the Michael Jordan era, right? They had one great, ridiculous year last year while Bill Belichick reloaded, just like the Rockets won when Jordan wasn't there. And then Jordan came back, and then the Rockets went away, right? And that's what the Bills are doing very quickly. They're going away very quickly the last 2 weeks.
Well, not only are they going away, the Patriots are in first place.
Right. And it's good, and they're not slowing down, right? The Patriots aren't slowing down. They're just getting better and better every week.
Yep.
Damian Harris gets hurt. Now Stevenson looks like a real deal behind, like all of a sudden they have 3 legitimate running backs back there. And it's like,
again,
how did Bill Belichick get all these weapons all over again? And the Cowboys are just a mess. They're just a freaking mess. Speaking of Cowboys, Jason Garrett's out of 2 jobs in less than 8 months.
In the same division.
In the same division. Fee, what do you think about that? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, it's an amazing thing. It needed to happen. He's been terrible. The Giants' offense has been terrible. I think a lot has to do with his horrendous play calling, although a lot has to do with their offensive line too. So they kind of go hand in hand. But it needed to happen. The Giants needed to make that move because honestly, I really, really like Joe Judge, and I want it to work out with him. And I don't think that firing him is a good idea. He's only been there 2 years. I think you got to give him like at least another 3 more because I do really like his philosophies. And I think if they kind of move forward and figure out their offensive situation, they could be a pretty decent team. So
they have the weapons. They have the weapons.
Yeah.
On both sides of the ball, if they're healthy.
I think the Jason Garrett firing, though, is a snap reaction to the Giants' offense was as loaded as it'll be all season last night, right?
Yeah, everyone was
playing.
Yeah.
And minus Sterling Shepard, but yeah.
Right. And they scored 10 points.
Right.
I mean,
and they only got a touchdown because they got the ball on the 5-yard line.
Right.
Because of not even a Tom Brady interception. I mean, that was all Mike Evans. I mean, it lands on Tom Brady's step, but Mike Evans literally dropped that ball into the Giants defender's hand, right? So
I have a tough time watching the game when Eli and Peyton I just watched them on the side of the screen and I missed that.
They are the best thing to happen to Monday Night Football in about 10 years.
Yeah, I liked when they had Parcells on. He's a smart man, that guy. He knows a lot about the football. Other than that, I mean, again, like seriously, the injury report is everyone is questionable. We're 2 days away from games. We don't know who's playing in Dallas. We don't know who the quarterback's going to be in Chicago. We don't know if Allen Robinson is going to be catching a ball from whoever the quarterback in Chicago is. I mean, it's a nightmare trying to figure out who's going to play. We do know Michael Carter's out. That's a big injury, and it looks
so much for that pickup.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to be 2 or 3 weeks. That was probably the biggest one. We know AJ Dillon had his chance to be the lead back and he blew it and he sucked. And he didn't though. He had a good PPR day because he got all the receptions, but I just thought, it's funny that the Packers lost to the Vikings because it's always funny when the Packers lose to me now because they're the Packers. So moving on to our locks of the week. Last week, I told you to take Miami over the Jets. Dutton said that the Lions were going to cover, and they did against the Browns. What was it? 13-10, right? And they were getting 10 points.
They were getting 10 points.
and Fee said the Saints. They made a valiant effort in that comeback, but it wasn't enough. But our overall lock of the week was the Dolphins. So that's 2 weeks in a row, I think. Let me see.
Mm-hmm.
No, 2 out of 3. 2 out of 3. We lost
3.
last week. 2 out of 3 that you were winning money with us if you listened to us. So we're going to move on to this week's locks of the weeks. Remember that it is Turkey Day, so we got a couple games coming at you right away, but we got another and a pretty much almost full slate on Sunday. Dutton, we'll start with you, Dutton.
I'm going with the Lions again. They're getting 3 points at home against the Bears, and you just said it. We don't know who the quarterback is. We don't know if Allen Robinson's going to be playing. And look, say what you want about the Lions and their 0-9-1 record, but they're not getting blown out in games. They're not. They're in games. And maybe they pull off the Thanksgiving Day miracle and win this first game at home. I don't know. But if they lose, they're losing 17-16 on the last second field goal.
Fair enough. Fee.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Raiders plus 7.5 against Dallas. Dallas has looked so listless, and now they have so many injuries on the offensive side of the ball that I just think that they may win this game, but Vegas should be able to keep it close and cover the 7.5. I like that. I'm getting the hook too. So
yeah, I like it. I'm gonna do something crazy here, boys. I'm gonna go crazy. And that's because Joe Flacco went on the IR today with COVID tracing. I am taking the giant killer Houston Texans and nobody you can name on their offense or defense, giving 3 to the Jets. And I'm going to take them winning that game because as much as I don't know anyone on the Texans, I don't know anyone on the Jets right now except Elijah Moore. And if no one's throwing them the football, Zach Wilson isn't ready. Mike White was banged up. Joe Flacco's out. I mean, who's left?
Ken O'Brien.
Richard Todd. I was a big Richard Todd guy, but Ken O'Brien was good. So I'm going to tell you to take the Texans over the Jets, giving 3. What do we think, gentlemen? It's Thanksgiving. I feel like the Lions always cover on Thanksgiving, but I do kind of agree with Fee that I don't.
Yeah, I kind of like that Raiders game.
Yeah, I don't see how the Raiders don't keep this close, if not win. To be honest with you, Raiders it is. All right, let's move on to Fanduel Fee stacks of the week. Last week, Burrow and Chase. Here, let me tell you something funny about the Fanduel Fee stacks of the week. I took Fanduel Fee stacks of the week advice. I won all 3 of my contests. Fanduel Fee took Fanduel Fee's advice and lost. So explain that one to me. You once again, you had to not listen to something you told me because it worked for me. But so Burrow and Chase were rough, but you did, with your value picks like Zeke and Connor and Dylan and Ingram, they paid off on the fantasy, and Ayuk, they paid off on the fantasy side. And those were the pieces that probably wanted for me. So what I asked of Fanduel Fee this week before the call was, as we mentioned, the Fanduel Fee, a turkey plate, Fanduel Slate. It's a rhyme like Dr. Seuss. So this is a special first, and he'll give you his stack. So just everyone calm down, would you? But first, here's the Thanksgiving lineup for you. Go ahead, Fee.
Oh, you want the lineup first?
Yes, Turkey Day lineup.
All right, the lineup that I created for the Thursday Turkey Day slate only is Derek Carr at quarterback, Ezekiel Elliott and DeAndre Swift at running back, Michael Gallup, Hunter Renfro, Deontay Harris at receiver, Darren Waller at tight end, Dalton Schultz at my flex, and the Bears D going against Detroit. And my thinking here is that I like Derek Carr a lot. I think he's the best play on the board at 7,400. There's a lot of other quarterbacks I just can't trust right now, specifically Josh Allen. And I wanted to pay up at running back big time. Plus, I wanted to get a big time tight end. And I think my lineup is going to be unique because I have two tight ends in the lineup, and I'm paying down at receiver pretty much everywhere to fit in everything that I want to fit in, including the Bears defense, which is the most expensive on the board. So I feel like it's a very unique lineup. It's probably going to be very hit or miss, but I think, if you're trying to win a tournament, I think that's kind of the way you got to go. And I like the lineup, and I'm hopeful.
Yeah, no, I like a lot of those picks. I don't, it's like you said, right now with the way that we know that we think the injuries are playing out, that Raiders game is going to go back and forth. So to have basically the only two receivers they have in Gallup and Schultz, that's a smart play. I think I like that.
Yeah. And I'm not going to play Dak just because, he hasn't been able to really do a whole lot. And like I said, I can't trust Josh Allen. The only other quarterback I might think about might be Andy Dalton going against Detroit, but that's, you're taking a big risk. I'm already taking risks by paying down at wide receiver, so I don't want to do too much. Yeah. Derek Carr is at least a semi-proven commodity.
Right. No, for sure. All right. So tell us about your Sunday slate. What do you got going for us there?
All right. The Sunday slate, Dutton talked about the Jets, I believe, and Michael Carter being out. So I liked Tevin Coleman there going against Houston down at 5,600. He should be able to 2x his salary because he's the only running back that the Jets have currently, and he's going to get tons of volume. I think this week is a pay up at quarterback week. You are basically going to either want Jalen Hurts or Tom Brady. I would prefer to go with Hurts. The Giants defense has not been good. The Philly really has been coming on lately and on offense. Hurts has been running the ball a ton. He's putting up 2 to 3 touchdowns a game. I mean, he's gonna score a lot of points for you. I really like Hurts this week. You could go to Brady going against the Colts. I don't think that they're going to run the ball much. So, you're going to want Brady and him throwing as much as he does. I really like Nyheim Hines this week. We'll get into that Indy Tampa game in a bit when we talk about our starts and sits, but I really like Nyheim Hines. Jonathan Taylor is going to have a rough go of it running into that Tampa defensive line. So, if Tampa gets up at all, Nyheim Hines is gonna get a ton of run, especially in the passing game. I really like Javonte Williams this week, paying down at running back instead of Melvin Gordon. He's down at 5,700 going against the Chargers. And then into the receivers, I like Chris Godwin at 7,600 if you're going to come back in that game with Brady. I like DJ Moore against Miami at 6,700. Jamison Crowder at 5,900 is a salary saver against Houston. And Devonte Smith, if you're going to try to stack with Hurts at 6,400 against the Giants.
I like it. I'm going to tell you about DJ Moore is that that was one of the games I had this past Sunday. And the amount of effort Cam Newton took to throw a ball 5 yards, like it looked like he was chucking the ball a Hail Mary. And I just don't have any faith in him whatsoever. I know DJ Moore caught that early touchdown and it looked good, but I mean, he would go like this and throw it all his might. And it was like a screen to McCaffrey. I'm like, wait, what? And he is just, I mean, he was all juice that game. And I wonder what happens when, it's a normal game and what it's going to look like. I don't have a lot of faith in Cam. But there's your FanDuel fee picks. Let's move on to our starts and sits of the week. As I said last week, I did very well. Everyone did very well. The consensus starts, however, I told you Tua, AJ Dillon, Elijah Moore, and but our consensus starts were Burrow, Michael Carter, who left hurt, DJ Moore, who, as we said, did well and got the touchdown, and Hunter Henry. Let's see if we could do better this week. We'll start with you at quarterback, Dutton.
It's funny because I'm going with Cam Newton. I don't trust his arm, but there's something going on with Cam Newton on that field that's working, and I don't know what it is. And if he's going to throw 27 screen passes to Christian McCaffrey and walk away with 265 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown, you're going to be happy with it, right? So until otherwise proven, start Cam Newton. I mean, he's a better option than some other quarterbacks right now, especially some big-name quarterbacks.
I think it's going to be proven this week, to be honest with you.
Right. I mean, and that's the thing. Until he proves it that – because I agree with you. I've watched him forever living in North Carolina. He's always on TV. I've always said he throws the ball awkward. And it's just gotten worse coming off of his shoulder surgery and everything else. But for some reason – he's putting up fantasy points, and I don't know how, but it's working.
I think it was a lot of emotion. Last week. And then at the end of the day, all that running to the field and
yeah, he's tired. He had to be exhausted.
But it resulted in a loss. All of that, and it resulted in a loss. How deflating is that going to be for him this week? So well, not just him, the Panthers in general.
Right. That's true.
Fee, who do you got?
So this week I have a bit of a theme going on. You're going to see that I'm going to be starting a whole lot of guys you'd never think to start, and I'm going to be sitting a whole lot of guys you would never think to sit. But at quarterback this week, I'm going to start Andy Dalton playing against Detroit. He still has the arm. He looked halfway decent last week coming in. And as long as he starts this week and Fields is out, I think he could have a solid day against Detroit's pretty lackluster defense, even without Allen Robinson. He's got Kmet, he's got Darnell Mooney, he's got Montgomery. So he's got some guys there. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dalton puts up some decent numbers this week.
I'm going to go rookie here, boys. I'm going to tell you to start Trevor Lawrence against the Falcons. The Falcons don't even look like they're trying anymore. They don't. They're completely deflated. They haven't scored a touchdown in 9 quarters. I mean, like, come on, these guys are not a good football team right now. Who knows? I'd love to know more about the injuries. Is Cordaro Patterson going to play? And make this an even match game? But I think the Jaguars, this is a game that, that they could get their young guns kind of clicking, hopefully, and on the same page, especially being at home. It makes it even easier. So I say Trevor Lawrence is my start at quarterback this week. This is a weird assortment.
It is a weird assortment.
Trevor Lawrence, Cam Newton, and Andy Dalton.
We're really stretching it. You can tell listeners that we have had it with fantasy football.
Yeah. Who do we want to start? Who do we want to start out of this gang?
Let's go Andy Dalton. Let's go Red Rocket. Thanksgiving fun.
Well, let's pick a backup just in case for some reason Justin Fields does get out there.
Yeah. Lawrence. Dalton Lawrence.
Okay, Trevor and Dalton. I like it. Running back, we'll start with Fee.
I talked about him earlier. It's Tevin Coleman going against Houston. Terrible defense. No Michael Carter. He's the lead back now for the Jets, and who, oh, by the way, don't have a quarterback. So he should get all the touches you can handle. So Tevin Coleman's my start.
Done.
I know you're not a fan of him, but he is actually having a really good fantasy season this year, and that's Joe Mixon. And I don't think the Steelers can stop him either. I think the Bengals, as much as the excitement is around Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, it's Joe Mixon is the one that's helping them win games with ball control. And I mean, he comes up with a big run every time they need it. And so I'm going with Joe Mixon.
I like it. I wouldn't think that you had to tell people to start this guy, but last week, right before kickoff, I had several people reach out to me asking me if they would start Jeff Wilson or Antonio Gibson. And so I'm going to tell you, I think Antonio Gibson's a good start this week. Obviously, there's question marks. He has been inconsistent, right, Fee? I remember Fee battled with it back earlier in the season. He'd pick McKissick one week, Gibson the other, and whichever one he picked would be the one that was the one that was bad and then good, right. And bad then good. I think Gibson, I'm not impressed with the Seahawks defense all that much this year. It's not the Seahawks defense at all. I like what the Redskins or I always say Redskins football team have going on right now. I think they have a little bit of momentum rolling, and I think Gibson is the guy. I think they could both coexist, McKissick. So I don't think you need to worry about him stealing touches. I think they can coexist. So Gibson's my start of the week. What do you think about Ty Johnson on the Jets? Because I think he's a much better pass catcher than Tevin Coleman. Do you think that eats into Tevin Coleman's possibility as a start this week?
Potentially. I don't know much about Ty Johnson and whether or not he's a good pass blocker.
Right.
For to be a third down type of back, or if he's going to get some run on first and second down, I really don't know. Tevin Coleman is more of a more known, commodity. So I think that he'll get more volume. So they might mix in Ty Johnson for sure. I mean, Tevin Coleman can't play all game. He's probably not going to get like 35 touches or something like that. But I think Tevin Coleman's probably the better bet.
Fair enough. I'm going to go Ty Johnson. No, just kidding. Okay, so who do we think here as our consensus? We got Gibson, Mixon, and Tevin Campbell.
The way my starts.
What's he from? Tevin Campbell's from what?
Tevin Campbell is a singer, isn't he?
Yeah, was he in a band? I thought he was in a boy band or something. Tevin Coleman.
Yeah, Tevin Coleman.
Okay, who do we like? Nobody likes anyone. That's the way my fantasy season is. I completely agree with you. I don't want to fight anybody.
I like Antonio Gibson going against Seattle.
All right, let's do Gibson.
Monday night, Gibson.
Wide receiver, Dutton, we'll start with you because he's one of your boys.
Yeah, and he is coming back, and I think the NFL should be worried. Chris Godwin, I think he's healthy. I think Tom Brady trusts him. I think Tom Brady trusts him a lot. He's going to get a lot of looks. He got a lot of looks last night. I think the Bucs offense last night is what the Bucs offense will be the rest of the season, which is ball control using short screens. They don't need to throw the ball deep because when they do, that's why Brady throws the interceptions that he was throwing. Like I said, the one interception last night was totally Mike Evans' fault, not Brady's fault. And Chris Godwin, I mean, he's just that, 7-yard slant that turns into 15, 25 yards before you know it. And I think it's a good sign for the Bucs. Colts defense, I don't think is strong enough in their linebacker secondary core to stop that pass. So watch out for that.
Yeah, I like it.
I'm starting Devonte Smith against the Giants. If Hurts and the Philadelphia offense looks the way they did last week, they're going to torch the Giants, and Devonte Smith's going to be a big part of that.
Fair. So wait, is Debo Samuel a wide receiver or a running back now?
He's a receiver.
He's a receiver.
He's a receiver.
He's slash 2.0.
Yeah, he's like Cordero, right?
Right.
He's a receiver.
Either way, I think you have to play 3 games at a position before you could qualify for fantasy, right? So he's not a running back option this week. Hunter Renfro. That's who I was going to say. I forgot who I was going to say. I like Hunter Renfro this week. I think that could be a back and forth battle. And he's been like a Julian Edelman,
which is what he was supposed to be when they
4.0. Right. Yeah.
Right.
So, I just like I know last week he was actually quiet. I expected more of him last week. I forgot who they played, but I felt like
Bengals. That whole game was quiet.
Oh, that's right. That's right. And I felt like he had a better matchup and that was like his worst game of the year, as a matter of fact. But he's a really good route runner and he's a really good short guy. And he's a Cole Beasley, one of those guys that all of a sudden you look up, he's got 6 catches for 80 yards and a touchdown. I like it. What are we thinking here? I'm good with Godwin. I mean,
I'm good with Godwin too.
Alrighty.
Let's go tight end. Fee.
I'm starting Dalton Schultz. He's my guy in Fanduel, and I think that he's going to have a big part in the Cowboy offense if CeeDee Lamb isn't playing. Amari Cooper's already out. Dak's going to have to throw it to somebody, and Gallup and Schultz will be there, so I'm going with Schultz.
Done.
I'm going with Gronk. I think another week under his belt of getting healthy. I mean, last night he was questionable, doubtful, whatever they want to call it, going into the game. A lot of people might not have played him because of the Monday night worry, including myself, which cost me my game. But he looked good. He looked strong. He was good route running, and he was going deep. 20-yard outs, 20 yards across the middle.
He was getting ups too. He leapt on a couple of those passes.
He did. He looked good. So I'm going Gronk.
I'm going to go, and I this pick worries me, but I think this is the week he gets in the end zone because while I agree with you, Fee, Justin, Jalen Hurts is a good fantasy play this week. The guy doesn't throw freaking touchdowns, but I think Dallas Goedert is the play this week. I mean, he gets the targets, right, and he gets the yards, and in a PPR, he's a solid play, but he's got to get in that end zone to get to that upper echelon, and I think with another quarterback, he would be. I mean, you look at Zach Ertz, the guy had 2. Can we talk about how Colt McCoy is the best quarterback in fantasy football right now, by the way? How did we not mention
Not just fantasy football. Like, he might have been the best quarterback in the NFL last week.
Yeah, and no Hopkins either, right? He's doing it with Richard Kirk and age 95-year-old AJ Green.
And Zach Ertz to the Eagles were like, goodbye, we don't want you anymore.
Yeah. So I think Dallas Goedert, this is the week he gets in the end zone. Who do you guys want to start?
I like Schultz. I mean, with the Dak not having any other options to throw it to, really, I like Schultz.
That's fair.
I just want to mention one quick thing also. Is about Gronk. He was playing the Giants. That's first of all, but he did look good, and it's amazing how he just dominates every team he plays. It's unbelievable how much he dominates defenses.
Yeah.
When he was earlier in his career, it made sense, but like even now, coming off injury and being out of the league for a year and everything else, and he still dominates. It's crazy.
Well, it also, and to your point, Fee, about them playing the Giants defense last night was, for some reason, daring Tom Brady to throw the ball. Made no sense.
They don't watch. I don't think their coaches watch a lot of football during the week. I think they just hang out or something. So let's review real quick. We got Andy Dalton as our start of the week, but if Justin Fields somehow goes, we suggest Trevor Lawrence, Antonio Gibson, Chris Godwin, and Dalton Schultz. We're going to move on to sits, and we pretty much went perfect on our sits last week as a consensus, as a group. The only place that you could say that we went wrong was that we said Amari Cooper, who wound up being a sit, but that wasn't unfair. We don't like to take credit for a guy that winds up.
We didn't know he was going to have COVID when we
that winds up getting COVID, and that's why we record our show early and we don't go back and update it. But other than that, I went 4 for 4 on my sits. Dutton went 3 for 4 with Amari Cooper, and Fee went 4 for 4 as well. Our consensus sits were Ryan, Josh Jacobs, Devontae Smith, and Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts was the biggest letdown of the bunch because, as we mentioned on the show, he's probably started by the most out of every one that we discussed last week. So let's get started. These sits are going to be very interesting, and especially at the quarterback position. I don't know who I want to start with between the two of you. Fee, I'm going to go with you because this was your MVP pick to start the season, I believe.
It's funny because mine was my MVP pick.
Oh, yeah. So let's go ahead.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me, but I gotta sit Matthew Stafford playing the Packers. The Packers defense has quietly been one of the best in the league, and their passing defense especially is the best in the league. And the Rams are going to have to run the ball if they're going to have any kind of success. And Stafford, I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of been a rough go of it for the Rams on offense. So I think I got to sit him this week playing against the Packers.
Okay. Dutton?
I'm sitting Josh Allen against the Saints. I mean, if you have Josh Allen on your team, you are starting him every week, and you are probably frustrated as can be at this point because what does he have? Like one huge game where he had like 3 touchdowns and 300 yards, maybe. I mean, in our league, we get 6 points for touchdowns, and I think Josh Allen had like 9 points last week.
Yeah, he's not good. He's not good. And I told you what my brother said, and it's true. If you look back to 2019, he gets really rattled and it gets in his head. And last year he was at his best, and that's when fans were at a minimum and there weren't people rattling him. And
right.
They're going to the Superdome, man, on Thanksgiving. Come on.
Right. That
place is going to be loud.
That's exactly why I said it, because that place is going to be loud. And I mean, maybe we're going to put the reverse jinx on Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford, and they're both going to light it up. But we've been pretty good about these sits lately. So
yeah, I'm going to go with Dak. I just don't. There's too many question marks on that offense. The Raiders have been decent, but like we said, Burrow, right? Didn't they play that game? Burrow didn't look good, and I just. If Cooper, I have no idea how CeeDee Lamb gets back on the field after suffering a concussion 3 days ago. Cooper isn't cleared yet. There's 2 days. Even so, Cooper has not looked very good in the past few weeks. So my pick to sit this week is Dak. So Dak, Josh Allen, or Stafford, which one of these starters are we sitting?
It's Allen. I want to sit Allen. You guys made a great case for sitting him against the Saints in the Superdome about how loud it's going to be and how rattled he gets, and I really like that call.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, running backs. Fee, I got to start with you again because I don't know how anybody sits this guy right.
Yeah, I don't understand this one.
All right, so my sit this week is Jonathan Taylor. Now, obviously, no one is sitting him. However, you need to temper your expectations about what he's going to do this week. He just had the game of his life last week, and he's been on fire the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. And he's been the best running back in the league. However, they're playing the Bucs. We all know that the Bucs defense is solid against the run and not so good against the pass. And while they're going to try to get the running game going, I think that Tampa is going to try to stop the running game as best they can, and they're going to force the Colts to try to throw the ball. So my sit is Jonathan Taylor with the expectation that while, yes, he may get you more than 10 points, he will not get you what you have come to expect from him.
Over under 20 points.
Under.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's fair.
Okay. That's fair.
19.5.
19.8.
Dutton, who do you like here?
Who would I like to sit? I like to sit Josh Jacobs. I'm going to sit Josh Jacobs for the rest of the season because Josh Jacobs has yet to prove to me that he should have been drafted as high as he was drafted, including by me. Like, I don't understand what the Raiders are doing. Either start Kenyon Drake or start Josh Jacobs, but stop playing both of them equal amounts of time because it's hurting everybody fantasy-wise. And clearly, Kenyon Drake gets you more with him on the field. Like, he seems to do more for some reason. So I'm saying Josh Jacobs.
Fair enough. I'm going to say sit Eagles running backs. I think the call is Sanders. I just think it goes back to what I said about Goddard, right? It's like Jalen Hurts is stealing all the touchdowns from everyone. So sure, can Miles Sanders run for 90 yards this week against the Giants? Probably. But what happens when, Jalen Hurts punches in 3 more touchdowns from the 1 yard line? It's like a total wasted day for you. So I think, obviously if Sanders lead back, Sanders is the sit, but whichever Eagles running back you're thinking about sitting. And I also did say a couple weeks ago, if you remember, that this has a Patriots feel to it in the backfield, right? The hot hand will get the day. So if it's Jordan Howard or if it's Sanders or even Scott gets into the picture, I just don't think, I think that it's too cloudy a picture back there for you to start any of them. So that's my sit of the week. Who do we like here? I am not sitting Jonathan Taylor.
I'm not either.
I'll sit Josh Jacobs all day long.
Yeah, I'll go with Jacobs. I was gonna say it's either Jacobs or an Eagles running back for sure.
But Fee, I understand what you're saying in terms of
temper the expectations.
Temper the expectations. I get it.
Absolutely. Fee, Dutton. I'm sorry, Fee. We started with you the last 2 times. I'm going to give you a little break here. Dutton, we'll start with you.
Wide receiver, I'm sitting Devonte Adams. Jalen Ram, and again, Fee, it's kind of the same thing. Are you really going to sit Devonte Adams? Probably not. But Jalen Ramsey against Devonte Adams, Aaron Rodgers, turf toe. Rams defensive line, very tough. Packers offensive line, a little banged up, not as strong as it could be. I think this is one of those temper the expectations for Devonte Adams, right? He came off a big game last week, 2 touchdowns, 100+ yards, lots of looks, but they also have a shootout against the Vikings, which I don't think they were expecting. And I think this is an interesting game this week. Like both these teams need to win this game, right? Because the Rams are coming off of 2 really bad games. And the Packers are coming off of a loss that they weren't expecting to have. So this will be interesting. But I'm sitting Devonte Adams because I don't think he has the game that you're expecting him to have.
Okay. Man, picking a wide receiver to sit, I like that we're going big. So I'm gonna throw out a big name because we think that the guy throwing it to him is gonna stink. So I'm gonna go with Staphon Diggs. Now it's a dangerous pick because I believe he had 4 receptions for 26 yards and 2 touchdowns last week and made something out of nothing. But how much of that was in the garbage time when Jonathan Taylor had already run for 27 touchdowns and just ran for 1 more as we're talking about it? So I'm going to say Diggs.
And Fee, who do you think?
I'm going with Mike Williams this week. I know he had a solid week last week. I think he scored 2 touchdowns. And I know that longtime listener Anthony does not believe in the Denver defense. However, they're playing in Denver, and the mile high altitude and the way that Mike Williams was playing prior to last week, just kind of makes me feel like last week was kind of an outlier for Mike Williams and that Charger offense. So I'm going to sit Mike Williams this week.
Okay. I like it. Who's our consensus sit?
It's a tough one. We're not sitting Devonte Adams, right? But that's the temper the expectations pick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm with you. If we're gonna sit Josh Allen, sit Staphon Diggs, right? But
I'm good with Mike Williams.
Yeah, and I was about to say though too, I kind of like the Mike Williams because the Chargers are up and down. They are so up and down. So I'm going with Mike Williams.
Yeah, and Keenan Allen still looks good.
Right.
He's still their number 1 guy. I don't know what happened last week with Mike Williams, putting up what he did, scoring 24 fantasy points or whatever it was. But I just think that's kind of an outlier.
That works. Let's start with tight end. Dutton, we'll go to you.
I'm sitting Dan Arnold for his big fat bagel that he put up this past week, and he deserves to sit. Nobody should be starting him. Despite what we told you last week to start him, do not start him. Trevor Lawrence doesn't throw him the ball.
Well, Trevor Lawrence doesn't throw many people the ball. That's part of the problem. But I think this week he figures it out. Fee.
I am sitting Evan Ingram against the Eagles. He's done nothing all year. I don't expect him to change, even with the offensive coordinator change. I don't know. It's the Giants offense. It's Evan Ingram. There's no way he's even if he plays decently, he's not going to put up more than 10 points for you. I'm going to sit him.
I'm going to go against everything this show stands for. On Turkey Day, I'm picking TJ Hockinson.
We're sitting him.
What the Lions are rough right now, right? Is Goff starting? Is he back? Do we know on the short week?
He's on that list that everybody else is on.
Right. So who knows? So TJ Hawkinson's my pick.
I'm good with it.
Yep, me too. That's a good call, especially if Goff isn't playing.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at everything we just talked about. First of all, make your own cranberry sauce, but if you do use the canned cranberry sauce, make sure you save the ridges. Then we went on to our lock of the week, and we picked the Raiders getting 7.5 points against the Cowboys on Turkey Day. Fee made a Turkey Day lineup, and he went with Derek Carr, Zeke, Swift, Mooney. Is that right?
No, Renfro. I do like Mooney this week. It was Gallup, Renfro, and Deontay Harris.
That's right. Yep. And then Waller at tight end and Schultz at flex. And
oh, by the way, real quick, I just want to throw in, I do actually really like Tony Pollard this week as well as Zeke Elliott.
Yeah, I do too. Some plays for your Sunday slate of FanDuel are Hurts, Brady, Tevin Coleman, Nyheim Hines, because Fee is a nut job and thinks Jonathan Taylor's a sit.
Nyheim Hines coming at it.
Javonte Williams, Godwin, DJ Moore, Crowder, and Devontae Smith. Moving on to our weekly starts and sits, your consensus start of the week at quarterback is Andy Dalton, but if Justin Fields somehow goes, we like Trevor Lawrence here. Antonio Gibson at running back, Godwin at wide receiver, and Dalton Schultz at tight end. And then your sits, we went big, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to be right because this is Fantasy Football 2021. Josh Allen at quarterback, Josh Jacobs at running back, Mike Williams at wide receiver, and TJ Hockinson at tight end. You gentlemen, I'm grateful for both of you on this Thanksgiving week. I hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving, and I hope all our listeners enjoy their Thanksgiving. And I hope you keep watching and listening. And we'll be back next week with more great starts and sits and very little research. We'll see you next week on the Fantasy Football Breakdown.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.